For people who spend their lives on Britain's inland waterways, this is kind of, I suppose you'd call it terra incognita. People hardly know it's here until they've been here. This is the East Anglian rivers that belong to the Environment Agency and that narrowboaters and general boaters are discovering in greater and greater numbers. Why? Because it's lovely. Why? Because they've got broad beam waterways with ample facilities and with beautiful open countryside, the Fenland Rivers. We're at Ely in Cambridgeshire. To get the inside story on this city marina, we had a chat with director Jeremy Tyrrell.
Yes, this has been here about 40 years, but we've only owned it since 2006. We had a shipyard up in Cheshire, and then this one came on the market, and we came down and looked at it, and as I was from down south originally, we thought this looked like a good idea. They promised me it never rained in Ely.
There's a letdown.
We've got over 250 berths, and many of them are very large boats, broad beams and Dutch barges, 60 foot long and so on. But it goes right down to the smallest as well. I think the smallest boat we have here is about 15 foot. So we cater to everyone. We tend to have more long-term people than short-term people. People tend to be here for perhaps 5 years, cover this area of the river, go elsewhere for a couple of years, but they pretty much always come back. When we first came here, there were relatively few narrowboats. Now, to be honest, that's the biggest expanding sector of work, and we've changed what we do here to accommodate and cater for those people. Lots of people are living on boats, and they tend to live on narrowboats and broad beams. And those sort of boats need heavy facilities and specialised facilities to look after them, and that's what we try to provide. We're very fussy about it. We don't have liveaboards, but we have stay-a-lots. People are welcome to stay as long as they like on their boat, but they do not acquire a permanent resident status and council taxation and things like that. And we are quite careful about that. We like people to have a land address where we can reach them.
In this kind of setting and location, do many people actually leave the marina?
I asked the previous owner when we were trying to buy it the same question, and we both laughed and said, well, many of them are floating caravans. Having said that, we encourage people to go out, and there's quite a group of adventurous people who will go out from here across the Wash and over to Holland and so on. I'd say about 50% go out relatively regularly onto the river. The rest people enjoy here, and we've got a lovely marina. We have lovely grass moorings, and it's lovely to enjoy.
What changes have you made since arriving here?
Well, we improved the facilities here first of all to be able to handle the larger boats. We've tried to improve the trees. We've planted a lot more trees and taken out some of the older ones that were past their sell-by date. We've improved the grass. We've certainly put electricity into every berth. We've now made the toilets and showers heated and year-round as opposed to being relatively restricted. And I think you saw on the riverbank we put in the big mooring poles so that the big boats are safely moored, not tied to small rings that really aren't capable of holding them. We reinstated the workshop. The previous owners were elderly or had been here a while, and they did relatively simple work in the workshop, but we do a full range from osmosis, painting, mechanicals, compound polishing, 3M processes, pretty much anything you can think of, woodwork, electrical, mechanical.
You've just bought Hermitage Marina into your group. What are your plans for that business?
We've been looking at Hermitage for 2 years, and we were able to acquire it in January of this year, so it's very new to us at the moment. But we see it as a strategic fit with this marina because it's a nice day's cruising distance apart. People will be able to cruise from here, have a lovely weekend, moor up for the weekend, go home, the boat is safe, come back next week, cruise another section of the river that they wouldn't be able to reach otherwise. So that's one thing. And the marina itself is very pretty. And it also can be divided more carefully into working areas and marina areas. And I think lastly, it's got unrestricted road access. Our one restriction here is the bridge over the river, which gives us great security, but we're limited to 50 tonnes over the bridge. So we've got workshops down there, but we will be moving the sort of heavy lift and the blasting and the blacking operations will carry out more down there. As everybody knows, they're very difficult years the last few years. We've had to adapt to follow the market, and we've done well. We are successful. We've increased turnover every year, and it's because we are adapting and picking up other business. But here, we're stuck with doing some of that work in the very middle of the marina, which we've never liked, and now we're able to move it elsewhere, so that's great.
Your business is growing. Do you plan to continue to expand in the marina and boatyard business?
I'd like a couple more. I'd like a coastal one. I've always been in love with Anglesey. We worked there for many years, diving, which is how I got into this business. And in my professional career in the offshore business, we worked a lot in the North Sea. And I'd like to see this marina more integrated with the city. It's not fully utilised yet, and I think that's an ambition. Somewhat like the Norwich waterfront. It's an integral part of the city, you know. I mean, at the moment, this is totally private land. And we'd like to see, whilst retaining the privacy and the things that the boaters pay for, we'd like to see more activity, you know, for the city in general.
The brilliant Easter weather has been favouring one local charity, East, the East Anglian Sailing Trust, who struck lucky with the sunshine when they invited Griff Rhys-Jones to open their new building at Levington Marina. East specialise in introducing people with disabilities to the sport of sailing, with their own fleet of keelboats, and are increasingly providing opportunities to sail for a wider range of young people too.
About March or April last year, we put in an application to the Big Lottery People's Millions competition, and then we worked our way up through their selection process until we finally came out in the final 8 for the Anglia region. We heard about that last November, at which point a film was made of our project, of this trust and what we do, and then that went through to the telephone vote last November, where the film was shown against another film, and we came out on top, and we won. We won the £50,000, which, as you can see from today, we've used to convert this relatively derelict workshop into a fantastic waterside centre.
East's new building was opened by Griff Rhys-Jones, who's been a lifelong sailing fan.
In a way, I come from a background where the spirit of sailing is something I've always enjoyed. As some of you may be aware, I take two men to whom I've had a great deal of difficulty persuading of the joys of sailing along the way. But for me, sailing is an unutterable joy, and it's an immense life enhancer and a rather wonderful thing to think that this organisation and so many people work to make that experience possible for people who some people might think would find a difficulty in sailing. But the truth is, it's not a difficulty, because suddenly this offers up horizons, it offers up excitement, it offers up mobility in a way that probably unparalleled in terms of sporting activity. It's just an exceptional thing to be able to do. And so I just offer my extreme congratulations, my salutations to everybody who's done so much hard work to make not only East into such a success, but also to see this glorious building. And at this moment, I'm going to, before I stab myself with it, I'm going to turn and cut the golden ribbon and invite you all to follow me in and inspect this facility. Thank you very much. Sailing hard! charities, and I think I'm a great admirer of simple charities that do good work with people with disabilities, because any parent must know that children are difficult undertaking at the best of times. So I have nothing but admiration for people who care for and help people. And this, what I liked about the idea of which I think is really tremendous, is that sailing offers people experiences and particularly mobility, which they might lack. You get if you're at the helm of a boat and you can't walk, you have as much power as somebody who can. So and you move as quickly as somebody who can. So I think there's a rather brilliant thing, a connection there, which and I think this does a great work. And also, it's got a name which you wouldn't immediately realise does what it does. So I'm happy to try and make sure that people realise what it does.
In our next edition, we'll be here at Brundall in the heart of the Broads, where we'll be looking at a shared ownership boat called Thunder. She's not brand new, but she is very lovely, and she's beautifully built and just ready to go.